Hello mate, how's it going? And welcome on back to Football Therapy with me, your host Jan. As always mate, I do hope you're doing well, I really do hope that. And welcome on back to Chelsea News. That's right, it is the daily series here on the channel where I reflect on what's been said about Chelsea, which is always a lot. I give you my thoughts on it, more importantly as always I ask for yours, and we go through it together in today's Chelsea News piece of content. Little update on injury news, trying to find out where we stand with certain key players. Palmer, Cucurella, Lavia, hashtag Schrodinger's footballer. Tottenham Hotspur. Apparently we tried to steal one of those star boys. Star boys? We will see. Yeah man, today or last night, yesterday afternoon, evening, in fact, may have been lunchtime, Graham Bailey published an article on Team Talk speaking about Marillo, the Brazilian defender, who Chelsea have looked at for a while, and actually, in a world where we are linked with Jeremy Jacques, the kid from Como, Jacobo from Como, I think his name is, which is great fun. And even, Senesi, who I do really like, maybe it should have been Marillo all along, a player that we looked at previously, who is incredibly good. He is incredibly good. Apparently we're front runners for him. And we're going to have a lovely time. We are, I promise. On The Athletic, speaking about Joao Pedro, there's been an article published on how he's now a proper number 9. And of course, this is a subject everyone's been speaking about, like, is Chelsea okay now? Are we like a left winger and a centre-back saying, off we pop? A little bit more of development and maturity from the current squad. The sun's coming out, so the whole aperture of the room's just gone up. Oh, it's like a sort of biblical holy moment. Are Chelsea okay now? And all the light it sends. Maybe I'm about to ascend into the pearly gates. Nope, still here. So we'll speak about, how close we are. I mean, I've spoken about it recently on content about, maybe if Rob Sanchez is the boy now, if certain players are coming back from injury, if Joao Pedro is just going to continue being different gravy granules, are we good? Are we good? You're going to ask the question. Are we good? We'll find out soon. But generally, my brain. I went for a run this morning and the coffee is now run out of my system, so the words might not be as clear as usual. But thank you for joining me, guys. So happy to have you here with me on the channel, Football Therapy. If you are watching the video on YouTube, because can watch it on Spotify as well, please do consider liking and subscribing. It does help us content creators out. Now, I know it gets boring, man. I watch YouTube too. I'm of that generation. Beginning of the video, they say like, subscribe. You're like, stop it, move on. But it really does take a second to just like and subscribe. So I'm grateful to those of you who do that. Should you subscribe, you should hit that sweet bell, baby. Little one for you there. And of course, Football Therapy Podcast is what you search on all your podcast platforms. And I'm grateful for a 5-star rating on Spotify. There you go, housework done. You gotta get out of the way. Trying to keep a roof over my head. We all got jobs, baby. Right. So, where should we start? A little injury update here, courtesy of thestandard.co.uk. That's where I'm citing this, to let you know. Chelsea will aim for the return to winning ways in the Premier League after FA Cup progression. Rosenier's side, of course, we slapped up Hull 4-0 away from home. Now, Arsenal won 4-0. But Arsenal won 4-0 at a side like 64 places below them in the Football League at home. We won 4-0 away from home at a side looking to get into the Premier League next season. Our win was more impressive. Yes, so we've reached the 5th round. Of course, the last time we played in the Prem, there was that 2-2 draw. A very disappointing game against Leeds. We should have been like 4-0 up. Somehow draw 2-2, and Palmer misses a sitter at the end, of course. Rosenior actually sounded kind of annoyed and frustrated with his players after that, so we can't do that. So let's have a look at the injury news at the beginning of this week, as we hope things develop positively for the weekend game. Palmer was left out, of course, of the squad against Hull. This was despite Palmer having scored 4 goals in his last 2 appearances. and not, and I think one coming off at 60 minutes. So Rosenior said, look, it's about managing him. It's about managing Cole Palmer. Brilliant to see Reece James back on the pitch to get 60 minutes, but Cole Palmer is about management. He was planning to give Enzo Fernandez 45 minutes each with Moy trying to manage their minutes. In the end, it felt right to give Caicedo 60 minutes. I'm delighted to say they've all come through unscathed for the first time in a long time, and now that we've got a full week to prepare for Burnley. So just managing Cole, he's okay. Cucurella, of course, he has a hamstring injury. We needs to have a scan. Rosenior did confirm he doesn't know at the moment. He can't give a time frame. It does seem like the Cucurella injury could be a few weeks out, which is very frustrating indeed. And we are all hoping that Jorel Hatto can step up in his absence. Jamie Gittens, Rosenior said Jamie is looking a little bit more long-term. That's a real shame for him, as obviously I've not worked with him for too long, but I know about his career and what about an outstanding player he is for us. It is tough with Jamie Gittens because I think clearly one thing everyone's agreeing on at the moment, even like respectfully as well, Garnacho hasn't looked confident. And we're literally playing. I know technically he's playing in the left pocket, but we're quite literally starting Enzo Fernandez in the left wing at the moment. Garnacho can come off the bench. He's our only dedicated left winger, and he's still not starting. He might start against Burnley, and he should still get chances. There is a player in there. I know many of you are like, I don't want to see Delap and Garnacho ever again. But the truth is, they both deserve chances. They both can contribute. Delap got a hat-trick of assists against Hull. We've seen him score in the Premier League before. They're human Chelsea players that we can and should rely on to play football. So, if I'm totally honest with you, in the future of what I hope is a Chelsea Premier League winning side, do I think Garnacho is a starting left winger? Highly unlikely. Yeah. Jorgensen, we don't know when he returns. Asugo apparently is going to return next month. And Lavia, Schrodinger's footballer. Let's have a little update on him. Romeo Lavia has been out since the 2-2 draw in Karabag. Rosenior has explained previously, we've got a really detailed plan for him. He was back in training on the pitch for the last 2 days. It's great to see him. He's been such a great player. We all know that. But when we have him back, we want him back for good, So we're just making sure he gets it right, the right plan in the next 10 days. So apparently March. And then Colwill, no pressure on Colwill, but hopefully back before the end of the season. Ooh la la! Now let's keep this train rolling, friends, because I want to speak about this. Bang bang. Many of you have seen this a day or so ago from David Ornstein. Chelsea basically tried to sign Lucas Bergvall, who is a great little player, by the way. Super tidy little player. And he's only 20 years old. Chelsea are among the admirers, and apparently we tried to test the resolve of Tottenham, but it was rebuffed. Look, I know we're sort of sniffing around different midfield kind of players. Bergvall for me is more of like an attacking midfielder than functional, but I guess he's a little bit of everything. He is one of Tottenham's best young players, so it would be naturally funny to take one of our most fierce rival, or at least hated opposition team, one of their bright young sparks, but totally understand at the point now where Chelsea fans are like, sort of want a little bit more seniority, but saying that in the midfield, Caicedo and Fernandez sort of starting to reach their mid-20s and have such a wealth of experience between them. We don't necessarily need like senior, mature, we do want mature, but senior like midfield generals, because those guys are kind of becoming it. And, with players like Lavia and Asugo, who are young coming through, and, maybe players from the academy, we kind of might be all right. I think we probably will sign a midfielder, a defender, which we are about to talk about. And I do have a feeling a left winger. I think we're just too short on the left wing, man. And then we can talk about striker, because Delap, I know many of you in the comments section don't like Delap. Fine. Football is a game of opinions. I don't think he's Chelsea's starting 9, but I do quite like him as a player and would like to see how Delap could develop at Chelsea. I think we all like Joao Pedro. And of course, Mega is joining Chelsea. So we've got 3 great strikers there. I think Gu will be sold. I think Shimoaka might be utilised at some point. And at least there'll be like a roadmap to bring Shim through. So I think we may be good with strikers. But we're going to speak now, gang, about defender. And we'll end on striker. Liverpool, Chelsea working hardest on the £50 million man, Marillo. Of course, Forest are in all kinds of trubs at the moment. They're on their 4th manager of the season, which is nothing short of comical. Absolute circus over there. How are they underperforming with all those good players? And they do have good players. Defenders, you got your Hudson-Odoi, your Morgan Gibbs-Whites, a couple of others in there. They've got a good team, man. Right. Marillo is preparing to leave Nottingham Forest this summer, and the level of interest in the Brazilian defender was already strong and serious. Sources close to the 23-year-old, so right in the sweet spot for Chelsea, have confirmed that his camp are actively assessing potential landing spots, with the expectation growing that this summer will be the window he finally makes the jump to a top 6 club. Yeah, well, he has. I mean, you say top 6, but so many Champions League clubs would buy Marillo. And it's also worth mentioning as well, like, Forest could get relegated. They might not, because is it Vitor Pereira they brought in? They might not, but they could do. But the fact how they've been in a relegation fight after, this qualification for Europe, he's probably thinking, right, now I'm out. His agents probably made it abundantly clear that he's leaving Forest. So we can reveal that Chelsea and Liverpool have done more groundwork on Marillo than any other club in the past 12 months, and both sides are weighing up bids last summer. They've just signed Jeremy Jacquet though, but at the same time, we have lots of centre backs. So you can Liverpool are just short on centre backs. They are. I know we're slightly ahead of them in the league, but defenders or any players, they'll look at that Liverpool squad and be like, that is going to come good soon. Your Ekateke's, your Alexander Isak's, your Wirtz's, your fullbacks and all these man that they are good. That you feel like Liverpool are massively underperforming and they should become good again. And the fact how Jacquet is coming. Who have you got? Kanate out of contract. Van Dijk's old now. Whereas Chelsea, we've got loads of good centre-backs. We've just brought Mamadou Sarr back. We've got Aaron Anselmino, who's so highly rated. But, so Mamadou Sarr Anselmino is joining the ranks of what, in full fitness and health, is a starting partnership in Fofana and Colwill. But then you add, Chalobah, who's been excellent this season with Fofana. And suddenly it's looking kind of congested back there. And a defender might be thinking, Chelsea looks like a party. And they're all my age, so we can do it together. But I'm not guaranteed a starting place here. This is kind of tough. Whereas with Liverpool, and it's a bit more, you're straight in, mate. And although Chelsea, I think, are evolving their wage structure a little bit, they're still doing the incentivized wage structure where you don't just get a massive base wage for coming to Chelsea. You've got to earn it. You've got to be playing in the Champions League. There's certain metrics that you meet, so you get bonuses and all that kind of stuff, which like I said to you guys, I've always been a huge fan of. Way before Abramovich left, I was calling for it. Because I always used Harry Kane as an example, who at Tottenham was always given these incentivized contracts. And I actually think it was a huge contributing factor to him becoming, arguably at the moment, the best striker in the world. Rather than just being like, here's loads of money, just turn up and not, do your thing. So, Chelsea's interest remains firm despite the club bringing back Mamadou Sarr, and of course we're expecting Levi Colwill back from injury, but we're told the Blues are open to listening to offers for Tosin Adarabioyo, and that's how you say it, Benoit Badiashile, and by the way, we're going to assume Disasi, as well. It's not written here, but Disasi's on loan. So he has a nice time at West Ham, they stay up. I genuinely think there's a good chance they buy him, because he looked in his debut pretty strong, but let's not go too early. So Tosin, Benoit Badiashile, and Trevor Chalobah. Should we just speak about that for a second? He can't catch a friggin' break, this kid, man. I mean, he's 20. He's not a kid. He's 27, 6, whatever. 20. How old is Trev? Chalobah. He's one of our more senior players. He's 26. Turns 27 in the summer. Man, it's so tough, bro, because he's playing really well. He's such a professional. He's such a good guy. He's what can only be described as genuinely proper Chelsea. My position on him remains firm. I don't think he starts a Premier League winning Galactico 11 in the current landscape, but I just don't want to lose him because he's so reliable. Right centre back, left centre back. I don't like him at right back. He can go for a bad phase patch, and maybe profiling wise in terms of how important your centre-back partnership is in terms of attack and how you function, I do prefer Colwill and Fofana. I'm very intrigued to see how Mamadou Sarr does. We are going to sign, if we sign a Marillo, he thinks he's starting for Chelsea. So, you know, he's going to start over a Colwill or Fofana or someone. Maybe he feels like I'm going to bench Fofana. There are centre-backs that I think start over Chalobah if fully fit and functioning, and not necessarily saying they're better players, but for my personal opinion, I think they will help, and this sounds way tactico nerdy, you know, boffin stuff, but I think it will make the team in front play better. That's my opinion. It's a game of opinions. I do not want to lose him though, but at the same time, if he says, I won the Club World Cup with Chelsea, I've won stuff with Chelsea, I've developed, I've become an England international, Tuchel's going to call me up at the end of the season for the World Cup, I genuinely hope he does. Say he does, he'll get loads of minutes to the rest of the season, because we're talking about summer transfers here. Tuchel calls him up, he gets in this England squad, he's not going to start, I don't think, but if he gets minutes, if he has a good experience, he has to reflect positively on these last couple of years of his career at Chelsea where he's fought. And it's totally, Trev might say, he might be having these conversations now with his agent, I deserve to go and start for a Champions League team. And I love Chelsea, but I don't feel like I'm going to constantly be afforded that guarantee. I am a pure profit asset. I know you'll comfortably sell me. And as you've always sort of indicated, I want to go and play for Napoli or... Because did he go to Italy before? No, that was his brother. He went to France. You know, like a Champions League team, or, you know, maybe we sell them in the Premier League, which we've shown we're happy to do before with certain players. And maybe it's up to Trev to say, thanks, let me go and start every week in, week out and try and keep my England space in my late 20s, into my early 30s or whatever. That'll be his decision. But personally, if I could decide, I'd keep him, even if he doesn't always start for Chelsea. Right then. It's going to be a juicy finish. Here we go. Sharper finishing, smart runs, and a penalty box presence. Joao Pedro is a proper number 9. So when we speak about we need a midfielder maybe, I don't know, apparently we do. We needed a defender maybe, apparently we do. You know, hopefully Hato comes good to be a good backup to Cucurella. Hopefully Sanchez proves his worth. We've got loads of options on the right. I do think we need a left winger. I've said that. That's a story we'll continue to cover here on Football Therapy. But, a striker. Delap has something to offer as not a starting striker at the moment. He's just knocking about. Gu, I think, will get on loan or sold and will make a huge profit. And, you know, some people will be against that, and that's fine. And I think largely it's because of Shim's future, because he's a year or two younger than him. And, you know, Omega, who, by the way, was Rosenior made captain of Strasbourg, scoring loads of goals, the number 10, the striker. He is joining Chelsea to replace Nicholas Jackson. Jackson's going to be sold. So, Omega, Delap, and starting striker Joao Pedro could be enough, but one needs to be good enough. And is that Joao Pedro? That's what we're going to learn from this article here on The Athletic, hopefully. Twumi and Raghuram, pronunciation's probably poor there, writes the following. The last time Chelsea striker scored 15 goals in the Premier League season without the help of penalties, Joao Pedro was still a teenager in Fluminense. Tammy Abraham, of course, scored 15 non-penalty goals. Jorginho, I believe, was scoring the penalties at the time. under Lampard, so this was 1920 season. Ruddy heck, that's a long time ago. By then, Joao Pedro had already demonstrated enough flashes of explosive attacking quality to persuade Watford to sign him well ahead of his 19th birthday. But it was far from clear if the Brazilian would evolve into a number 9 at professional level. Excuse me. 2 seasons at Brighton, in which he played a variety of different attacking roles, did not offer much way of clarification, but a spectacular first 8 months at Chelsea has settled the matter. Joao Pedro is not only a number 9, but a very, very good one. I mean, he's certainly convincing me these last few weeks. The only question left to answer is just how prolific of a goal scorer can he become, which is what we need. You know, you speak about the failed experiments since Drogba and Costa. Well, with 12 matches of Premier League season remaining, he has 10 non-penalty goals, 5 short of Abraham's mark. He may not reach it this season, but regardless, he's already the most productive league campaign. It's his most productive league campaign in front of goal, excluding penalties, since his final season of Watford in the Championship second tier in 23-24. So right now he's 24 years old. I don't think he's that long 24 as well. There are plenty of signs that his evolution could click into an even higher gear. Joao Pedro's shot profile has changed in a fascinating way over the course of the past 4 seasons. There were signs in the 23-24 campaign with Brighton that he could be a more consistent penalty box presence, but he converted just 12% of his shot attempts at goal. Last season, his shot attempts dipped significantly, but the conversion rate nearly doubled to 21%, which is in line with many of the most clinical strikers. Over 1 in 5 shots that go in. That's pretty good. As the graphic below illustrates, so far this season, Joao Pedro is taking shots from better areas closer to goal. Just 11% of his attempts are from outside the box, down from 21% in the season before, while the proportion of his headed attempts are more than doubled from 13 to 27% last season. He's really good in the air. He doesn't seem like a big, tall guy. I think he might be quite tall, but he's like deceptively good in the air, like Nkunku was. He's like the kind of player that, you know, and I thought he was going to be similarly profiled to Nkunku. He's like not true 9, you know, kind of guy that's, he's good at heading. I didn't expect that. So these are his shots from the last 4 seasons, his shot profiles. And as you can see, this campaign, loads of shots right in the middle, but still all around the gaff as well, for those of you watching video. 1 second, let me just prepare the next. Here we go. This is not happening by accident. Joao Pedro's improving shot profile is a direct result of some marked changes in the type of ball runs he makes. He's dropping off, making support runs, and they're significantly reduced, while he's ramped up the clear frequency of his cross receiving runs. So not decoys. These are ones that are like, give me the ball, I'm going to score. Now, for those of you watching the video, you can pause here and look at these graphs if that's your kind of kink. But yeah, the kind of runs he's making now are more like, I'm going to score a goal. Joao Pedro is a supremely intelligent off-the-ball mover, constantly asking questions of the opposition defenders. The sequence that resulted in his goal against Leeds last week began with an innocuous diagonal jog that prompted his marker to switch off, enabling him then to arc his run in behind, meet Cole Palmer's pass, and dink the ball over Caldalo. It's just sensational stuff. It's really proper, because it's not even like... I'm not saying I'm not going to compare him to Diego Costa. Diego Costa was better for us, more aggressive, and the way he could play on the line was amazing. Like the sort of line of aggression. And look, there was a class to Diego Costa, and I know he's technically Spanish, Costa, or he committed to Spain, but there is something a little bit more Yoga Benito about Joao Pedro. I don't want to slag off Costa because I adore him, but like I'm not, you know, Costa scored like he won 2 Premier Leagues with us, scoring 20 plus goals in those seasons. Even in the off season where we finished 10th, I still think he got 16 goals, which just goes to show. And he wasn't taking penalties because Hazard was in the team. So he was amazing for us. But there was a sort of like broody, like if anything, if Delap comes good, he might be a little more shades of Diego Costa maybe. Actually, he might, I'm thinking more Giroud because we're going to get that bouncing board off him. Anyway, I'm going down the cul-de-sac here of my own thoughts. There's more analysis here of his recent goals. I really urge you guys to check out this article on The Athletic if you're into the sort of analysis of what Joao Pedro's doing to score these goals. There is, I'll just read you like a little bit of a sort of sign off here. Chelsea have not had such a clinical number 9 at the club since the aforementioned Diego Costa, who I've been speaking about. He scored 20 Premier League goals in 2 of his seasons at Stamford Bridge, like I just said. The biggest obstacle to Joao Pedro registering similar scoring numbers is that he simply does not shoot often enough. I say this all the ruddy time. Shot volume. The great recent Liverpool teams have scored loads of goals. Just so shooting all the time. Just take a crack at goal. Yeah, his average of 2.1 attempts per 90 minutes. Like, you know, it's like friggin' Estevão's doing like over 3. He's a winger. I know he's like a sort of Bobby Firmino region, we thought. Well, at the Club World Cup, it looked like, I don't want to wax lyrical too much about Liverpool, but in the Club World Cup, looking at Joao Pedro, how he was linking up with Palmer then, it was a bit like, it's like Firmino feeding Salah. Is he going to be this like false 9 region? But it's becoming more of just a true 9. But to be that true 9, you need to take way more shots than 2.1 per 90 minutes, which he's been doing in the league. And this is roughly equivalent to what Enzo Fernandez is doing in the midfield. So Erling Haaland averages 3.9 per game at Man City. And a lot of the time, he doesn't touch the ball at all, Erling Haaland. So, yes, there's no excuse, really, for Joao Pedro. He needs to shoot more. That's also a reflection of Chelsea's more egalitarian attack under Enzo Maresca. And now Liam Rosenior, where Joao Pedro's presence in the box can take attention away from the aforementioned Fernandez. I've got to say stop saying aforementioned. And Palmer. So he's been like facilitating for other players, basically. And vice versa. But there's still some scope for him to scale up his shot attempts. Yes, that's how I feel. It is also worth noting that Costa and fellow striker Drogba did not blossom into prolific goal-scoring number 9s at the top level until the age of 24. The age Joao Pedro has recently turned. And also Joao Pedro, already in the Premier League, has demonstrated excellent ability. Like, he's done some really good stuff for Brighton. And when we were being linked to friggin', what's his face, Evan Ferguson for 100 million. I said, no, we should go and sign Joao Pedro years ago. So he's been demonstrating he's a good player in the league for a while, but to turn into this goal scorer, he needs to just carry on what he's doing and take way more shots. Whoop, 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 whoop. Exciting stuff, though. Please do leave me your thoughts down in the comments section below. I'll be delighted to have them. Thank you for liking and subscribing on YouTube, following and 5-starring on Spotify. I would like to get to 1,000 5-star reviews on Spotify before the end of the season, which is very achievable. We're pushing 900. Just search Football Therapy Podcast on Spotify and give me that sweet 5-star review, man. Alright, fellas, take care of yourselves. Hope to see you back here soon. Peace!